Jag vill bara säga att anledningen att vi gör det här är då för att, eller en av motiven för mig att göra den här turnén, det är att väcka en debatt också i Sverige, hjälpa till att väcka en debatt i Sverige kring vart svensk kriminalpolitik är på väg. Och vi har ju den växande gängkriminaliteten och skjutningar som man hade på 70- och 80-talet i USA, i Kalifornien, där Twin och Happy kom ifrån. Och där svarade man då med längre straff, låsa in yngre väldigt lång tid. Det här är 2 personer. Donald, you were 32 years in prison, and Happy, you were 34 years. You were 16 when you were locked up. And after you're going to meet also Lonnie Morris, who was released 3.5 years ago, and he spent 44 years in prison. So you can talk a little bit after what that means to be that long in a prison and be locked up when you're so young. Så paradoxen är då att man i USA, det tog 50 år kanske att vända trenden. Man insåg att man inte hade råd med så många fångar och så många äldre fångar. Så där går ju då fängelsepopulationen ner, medan vi ska tredubbla vår fängelsepopulation på närmsta 10 åren, är planen i alla fall. Så det vill jag att vi ska diskutera om. Så efter filmen så är det en kvarts paus ungefär. Och sen blir det en panel med mig, Twin, Happy, Lonnie Morris, Janne Jönsson som är här då, som också var den som regisserade I väntan på Godot inne på San Quentin 1988. Och så är Camilla Salazar här också från Fryshuset. Och alla de har varit med på den här turnén också nu. Så varmt välkomna.
Sooner or later, got you down.
Say $10. Say $10.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, since everyone is sitting out there, I'd like to thank you for coming, and thank you for embracing us and the story that we told. Thank you for everything, for just being part of the family for us. I appreciate it.
Wonderful audience. So, but we can start just presenting everybody. So my name is Staffan Julen, and I directed the film. And Donald, you have just everybody knows Twin.
Yeah. I don't Twin. What you want?
No, we
just do an introduction.
Oh. Yeah.
So
sorry about that.
Camilla.
I don't know, but I don't think it works.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me.
You can
Så Camilla Salazar heter jag, jobbar på Fryshuset som kriminolog och har följt med på turnén i San Francisco och nu lite i Sverige.
So we don't know what you said.
No,
Now, Happy,
Sorry.
you present yourself.
Okay. My name is Reginald Happy Wilson. I played Estragon from the play.
Yeah. And Jan.
Jag heter Jan Jönsson och har regisserat denna makalösa pjäs med 2 makalösa skådespelare, vilket har förändrat mitt liv väldigt mycket på många olika sätt.
I don't know. Well, I ain't gonna clap because I don't know what he said. So, but my name is Lonnie Morris, and I was involved with the initial ideal that when Jan came over to do the play. I was one of the first people he met, and we filmed all the rehearsals, all the actual 3-night performance that was done at San Quentin. Me and the San Quentin TV crew filmed that, and that's how I got involved with the project. Yes.
And we could add that you were released after 44 years, for 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know that Twin was for 32 years, 34 years, and you were released about 3.5 years ago.
No, 10
Is that right? No, yeah, 12 years.
14, isn't it?
14.
14.
14.
And I'm
Sorry.
11. Yeah.
11. So, first of all, I want to ask you the thing that Jim Carson says in the film, that he wanted to create art predators. So, do you agree on that? Did you transform from
I don't appreciate
gang
predator,
guy to art predators?
No, I don't appreciate that terminology, predators, but I appreciate just being involved with this work. Jan is a brilliant dude, man. He helped me mature in a lot of ways. Because I was a knucklehead, man. I was, so anyway, I would say that, we became real actors because Jan made us real actors, not predators. So.
Thank you.
No, I actually, when I first saw it, I wanted to take it out. I just forgot about talking to you about it, but I didn't like that at all. I've been feeling some kind of way about it, but it's there. It has nothing to do with us right now. So, but in the meantime, between time, when you get time, get it out. But anyway, I'm Donald Twin James. I performed Vladimir in the play.
But the other party says that it turned lead onto gold. So it transformed you, the play transformed you, and brought out the best of you.
Definitely.
Can you tell a little bit about that?
Well, being in prison was such an isolation in your mind, in your heart, your movement, things you do, places you can go. There's only so much you can do. There's really not much that you can say openly, so you trapped. And the play just opened everything up for me. It made me aware of where I was as a person, in my heart, because I was pretty bitter, even though I didn't come from a showbiz background, but I was actively in doing things that was entertainment. I had played in the movie King Kong. I was a African dancer, and I performed in clubs and weddings and funerals. So I had that bug in me already. I also was a choir president at San Quentin, and I sung in a group. So I had that bug in me in performing anyways, but the play itself it opened a whole lot of new doors within my whole soul. So made me a better person, and I loved it.
Yeah, well, for me, the play made me realize how detrimental my life was. Because as a child, because that's what I was a child, because I was illiterate. I didn't know how to read or write when I first got in prison. And I had to teach myself. I started studying the dictionary every day with pronunciations and definitions, and because I understood, man, that communication is the way of life. That's why you see a lot of kids from the ghetto, man. They lack that source of the way of life, and that's why they stay in that condition that they're in, because they closed in. If you can't communicate, you're only gonna go so far in life. That's right. And that's where I was anyway. So with the play, I realized that I was sitting here in a situation where there was no hope, there was no thing that I can look forward to other than doing this long length of time. Because before I came, you had a 5 to life and a 7 to life.
Yeah.
They gave me 25 to life. I see the way that they treat the 5 to life and 7 to life because they have 5 and 7, but they only 20 and 30 years. And I had 25 to life, so I'm looking at 50, 60 in my mind as a young kid. So I wasn't thinking about none of this until this play came. I started examining not only me, but my situation, my environment, and everything. And it gave me a way to express how I was feeling about reality, because that's what it was. It opened up my mind to reality, you know. And I had a daunting way of looking at things, man. Back in the days, man, it was, you know. But that's why, you know, the relationship that me and Twin had is unique, because you don't see that a lot inside prison. You don't see that, man. You know, this man really helped save my life.
So, John, Twin tells when you first time approached him in the gym, and he said, "Oh, get away! We're gonna all be shot." And you also said that John was so naive. He just came, and I mean, I guess that's the only way you can start this kind of adventure. You have to just break the barrier, and when you see your rehearsing room, it looks like a kind of a sanctuary where you can say whatever you want to each other. So you can. So tell a little bit about the process.
When I gave you the manuscript, and I heard you reading the play, the lines, and you open a manuscript which is new language for you, and after a week, I had a feeling that you were not answering each other if you didn't believe in each other. That kind of reality. And that was gorgeous. And I had the honor to meet Sam Beckett for 5 long years. And we became very close friends. And he asked me questions like, what's happened to my play when you gave it to people living in the darkness? And I told him that they are not answering each other if they don't believe in each other. And I had a feeling that they'd written the play themselves. They're treating the play like their own diary. And Beckett, he was so fascinated of this answering I had. And I have to say now, Carl-Johan Sett, who's sitting there, he's the person who gave me, when I was like 14 or 15 years old, the manuscript of Waiting for Godot, and asked me to do the boy in the play in the theater in Gothenburg. Since then, I've been falling in love with this drama Beckett has written and reading his complete works. And then I did it on the drama school, on the Royal Dramatic Theatre's acting school, with Ragnar Lyth, who is here. We did a version of Waiting for Godot. And then I met Jonas Modig, and he publishing a book I've been doing called Moments of Reality. This work is, for me, Moments of Reality. And Sam Beckett we were planning that he should come the last 2 weeks at St. Quentin to be with us, and following the work and the opening performance. He was planning to come with his nephew, his brother's son, Edvard Beckett. But Beckett had lung emphysema, so he was not allowed to fly. He was smoking too much. So he asked me, please film it. I have to see this. And then he asked me, what's happened with the silence of my play when you gave it to these people? The rhythm, the smell of the play. And he saw it on a television at home with Bernie Rossett, his American publisher. And after the performance, Sam said, I saw the roots of my play. That's exactly what he said. And then he said, do me a favor, go back to these people and bring my end game with you. An end game is a continuing play of Pozzo and Lucky. Pozzo and Lucky is not here tonight. Spoon Jackson was doing Pozzo and J.B. Wells was doing Lucky. And J.B. Wells is dead now. He died recently.
In their life.
And I asked Beckett, is Endgame a continuing play of Pozzo and Lucky? And he looked at me and he said, probably. So I am planning, in the middle of this planning, to do it on a big prison in Paris. And now when we went to San Quentin, I met 10 or 12 guys who sitting in a little cafe in the church. And I said, can you promise us one thing? Can you come back and do another production? And probably it's going to happen.
Yes, so.
So when you see what happened 1988, it was kind of an example from Scandinavia to bring culture into the prison. And when I started this production 10 years ago, and I also went to San Quentin and to other places, and people said they still talked about Waiting for Godot. And the word was spread all over the prison system in California. And as an example. And the fear I have is that we today will dismantle all those programs because we have another way of thinking, another politics today. Everything like this, it's called like naive, or look how it works when they add this smärtpunkten on the Swedish television. The debate was, look how it works when naive cultural persons comes into the prisons. So that's one reason I really think this is important to show. And I also want to ask Lonnie, who sits here, because it's a big difference now when you came out 3.5 years ago and from when you got out, when you were released. You were not allowed to go back to the prison. You were not allowed to have contact with each other's lifers. You were not allowed to go back to Watts, where you wanted to work with the young people. But you, Lonnie, you have your own program inside the prison. You can go back and forth as many times you want. And you work with the young kids, and you have your program called No More Tears. And it's young kids who sit there for murder. So can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when I was in prison, at a certain point in my life, I decided that I needed to do something different. I had been a criminal most of my life, since I was 13, 14 years old. It's all good. So I spent a lot of time in and out of jail, YA, juvenile, all that stuff. And the last time I went to prison, I did 44 years. And I tell people all the time, because people, for whatever reason, they like, oh, you did 40. And I said, man, it's not about me doing 44 years. It's what I did with the 44 years that's important. And in those 44 years, 24 years ago, I started an organization called No More Tears, because I recognized that there was a need for people like me who had figured it out, how to start getting their lives together, to bring that same skill sets and tools to other people that were incarcerated. So I started in the prison. I was in the prison, I started in the prison. And we started doing these workshops, and we built the workshops around our lived experiences. So we didn't come to no psychologists, no therapists, or none of these, people, criminals, whatever you want to call people that got these professional titles. We didn't go to them. We got dudes that was in the hood, and we said, hey, man, what was your experience like? What do you think would have helped you? Blah, blah, blah. And we changed that information. We wrote all this stuff down in the curriculum. And now we do that curriculum 12-week cycles, and we do it annually, every year. 12 weeks, take a month off, start up the next 12 weeks. And it's been so successful that our recidivism rate has been less than 1%. And of those who have went back, none has went back for violent crimes. So that's the big thing, because we really hone on violence. And the other thing is we took it out from the prison into the community. So now we go into schools, we've been in the juvenile halls, and we work with young people across the board to just give them the ability to recognize that you can change your mindset, you can change your life if you get tools and support, and if you got somebody to care about you. So that's what we do across the board.
So, Camilla, you're working here in Sweden at Fryshuset, and you also went with us on this tour in US and to San Quentin. So, can you tell a little bit about how you work and what do you think about the changes that is going on now in Sweden?
Okay, so at Fryshuset we work with kids that are in prison or are waiting for a sentence, and we have a lot of kids right now, a lot of kids that are under 18, so 15 to 18 have increased in prison, and we visit them while they're waiting for the sentence, and we also visit them afterwards. And we have had to prioritize differently, because before we would be able to visit more, but now that there is such an increase of kids in prison, and they're getting life sentences, which we weren't seeing before. So it's new to us to have so many kids 18 and above with life sentences. We have never actually worked with that before. And our prisons are not prepared for that. They are overcrowded, which makes them not always being able to give programs to the people sitting there, because they need the rooms, or they can't guarantee security. And we are having kids, or not only kids, but the inmates have to share the cells, and so the violence is increasing. So there's a lot of changes to the worse in that case, because when you have overcrowded, you can't do the programs, you can't have visitors in the same way. You have an increase in violence. And interesting, when we were at San Quentin, we also learned that there is how long people that work at San Quentin, the people that work there, their life is shorter than average. So they live a shorter life. So that they are also affected by the environment and by the violence and by the constant threat. And that is, I think, something that we in Sweden haven't thought about. But I think also it was interesting when I talked to a lot of inmates when we went to San Quentin, and I met with a lot of kids that also wanted us to understand that they know they have committed a crime, but they also know that they have grown up in an environment where they also are victims, and where society haven't done anything to give them some kind of retaliation, so to speak. They are victims of seeing crime, seeing violence, sexual abuse, etc. And that's where the anger maybe came from, and what they learn. Violence is learned. So they have learned violence, and then they use violence towards other people, and they are the ones being punished. So that they could express that unfairness they could feel. But also, what we also seeing here in Sweden is that we have more kids that come. We have always seen there are certain certain, you would say, because of this and this and that, that's why they committed the crime. But I met with this kid who is, middle class kid, and he said, I committed these crimes, and I'm not poor. I don't come from this kind of environment or hood or whatever, but I still committed the crime. So why? And that's what we're also seeing now in Sweden, a difference in who are committing the crimes, kids from the middle class. And he said, well, no one talked to me and asked me how I was feeling. And the mental health of kids, especially that we see in Sweden, is deteriorating. Kids are have a lot of issues. And if we then talk about men and no more tears, there's so many men or kids that are, that don't know how to express feeling, to show grief, to talk, or to even put words into it. We even call it, an analphabetism of feelings, and we need to understand how to work with that. And this kid that I met in San Quentin, he said, so behind all this beautiful facade of my family, there was violence, there was sexual abuse, and there was a lot of things that no one knew, and abuse of alcohol and whatever, but everybody thought we were just this happy family, and no one even suspected that something could be wrong. So I think it's important for us to have our eyes open and realize that there are, especially the issues regarding mental health and how our kids are growing up in a world in crisis, I would say. In Fryshuset we see crisis, the crisis and the environmental crisis that kids are taking very seriously and feel that the adults are not taking serious at all. We have the crisis with kids being shot every week in their age group. We see the crisis of war, and we see that a society that is of grown-ups, they don't know how to handle it, and they feel very, very lost and alone in that. And I think our job is to show that we do have a plan, and we do know, and we are going to take care of it, and not just the kids handle it by themselves. Yeah.
So, Twin, you've been telling about your experience with growing up as a child with a very tough violence and what that did to you, how it locked you in rage and anger. Can you tell a little bit about what you told about when you were a kid, the violence that you were exposed to?
Growing up as a child, I had an alcoholic mother. I had a father who was beautiful. After a while, he moved out because he was the one that was basically getting assaulted. When he moved out, we had chances, which I won't say were good. My mother had a lot of boyfriends that come in. One of my sisters was approached sexually. It didn't happen. It's just the guy was always messing with her. And I was always getting whoopings because I had a habit of talking back. And during the upbringing back in them times, you can't be talking back to moms. You get that backhand, and it was awful. A lot of times I'd be singing on TV, sitting in the couch next to my mother, and she'd reach over and slap me in the mouth, tell me I can't sing. The whoopings was with belts, switches like this here with the hooks on, with the stickers on them. It was awful. And as I got older, I started going to juvenile hall, YA, camp for juveniles, and then it translated to adult, and I ended up in the pen. That stabbing that I received really did it for me. It just made me out of a monster, basically. And revenge is not something that you want to think about. I don't like thinking about it, but it happened, I ended up going to the pen, and during that time, my family, I had two families. I had a mother who had 13 kids, and I had a godmother who adopted me, my twin brother, and my little brother. She had 22 kids. So we had a great big family. And I would run home, run away from home, ditch, you know what I'm saying, doing all kind of things that my mother and my godmother wouldn't believe. To this day, you couldn't tell them that I was out there doing things that I was doing. You know, dropping pills and drinking and cussing people out and all that. Because coming up, my mother was, 84 when she passed away? I never used a cuss word in front of her, ever. And that was like with everybody I knew. Back then, everybody's mother was mama, everybody's uncle was uncle, you know, to us in coming up. But I had a real hard child life. I can't even remember any good teenage days. There were a lot of them, but family-wise and from a family structure, from my side of the family, it wasn't there. But going to the pen and doing the things that I was doing, singing and stuff like that, it was just, that was the bright side. And then the play, oh man, the play was just, I mean, I don't know if any of y'all noticed it, but I noticed it myself. Whenever you focused on me and Jan and Happy doing that play, I mean, I was feeling it right now. It just brought so much joy to me. You know, I could see my eyes was bright. I was always smiling in that play when we was all together. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. It was just something new. It was something gratifying, and it was a pleasure to be a part of it. And the end result is where I'm at right now, sitting before all of you, giving you a bit of my history and enjoying the feedback that I'm receiving from you, and being with Happy again, being able to see Lonnie and Jan and Giovanna. What's your name, man?
Giovanna?
Yeah, his daughter. I mean, it's a pleasure. It's just come full circle, you know. But the circle is on the streets. It ends up in the, and just like Happy had mentioned several times before, Sweden was our second home. We heard so much about it, got so many letters, had so many pen pals, and it was just amazing. And it's amazing to be here today. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
It took you 36 years to come here after the premiere.
Yeah.
And your situation now, you're homeless.
Yeah.
You live in your car or sometimes in shelters, and you're struggling, both of you, to survive.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that we created a site called GoFundMe. It's gofundme.com. And there you can search Twin and Happy, and you can actually contribute to their new start. So I really urge everybody to help out with that. So maybe we should let the audience,
please.
Yeah, if you have any questions. There are
Why is that?
theater directors and actors and people who know everything about Godot. Maybe there's somebody who wants to say something.
Please, whoever speaks, please speak English, because we do not understand Swedish. No, y'all got a default position here where y'all talk Swedish all around us, and we be like, do you know we don't understand?
Hello, and thank you so much for sharing your story through this movie. I wonder, I read a little bit that you were earlier in Sweden visiting some youngsters, and I have a question about that. How if you have any thoughts about this, but before that, I would like you to answer a question: how do you think to reach young people who haven't been so much in contact with dramatic theater or other way to express yourself through culture, how and art, how to reach or to show or like open up this door for them, and also if you have any reflects on your earlier visit this place you visited in Sweden. Thank you.
All right, so that's the reason why we down here, y'all. Stefan came because that's after we finished the work we did right there. We thought it was done because we haven't heard from him in a while, a couple of years, few years, yeah, something like that.
Sometimes to find us to fill.
Yeah. So after years passed, he came to visit me in Twin about 6-7 months ago, I think, 8 months ago maybe. And he said he needed help. And he told us that Sweden was having gang problems. I said, what country? I mean, because, you know, we know Sweden to be calm, peace, you know, joy, love. Gangs was, you know, so it tripped me out. That was my response to him. And he said, no, man, that's really bad. And he's telling us, and as he explained it to us, my mind immediately go back to L.A. back in the 80s when it started, when you had a lot of killings. I mean, they was tabulating. They was keeping count of the deaths of that week, of that month, of that year. It was that bad. And so he asked us, he said, man, I want to, you know, use a documentary, and then I you know, need you guys to come and, you know, say whatever, right? So, of course we raised our hand, because like I say, man, you know, you guys are, I mean, for real, man, second home. Because the response that y'all gave us when we was in need, you know, of companionship, you know, for somebody just to write us, you know, to take us out, you know, where you going, you know, or whatever. You guys responded to that. When Jan asked y'all to do that, we had so many pen pals, it was ridiculous. I mean, it was like we couldn't answer to everybody, you know. So, you know, I had so many dreams about coming here, you know, because he had me thinking that he can go talk to the governor and I get out in 10 years, you know, but that is not that simple. So anyway, so when he asked us to come down there and help, I know that I have not the solution, but one solution to reach these kids, because that was me. And I know what worked for me. And it's all about empowering. That's what it's all about, giving them a greater image than what they already see. Because, see, my problem was when I looked outside my bedroom window, I seen the gang members, the pimps, the hustlers, the, you know, the gamblers. That's what I seen. And that was the strong image that I looked to, because I was missing a dad. My mom raised 7 kids by herself. 3 deadbeat dads didn't do nothing. So I'm looking for a strong male image. And that's what I seen. That's what I gravitated towards. That's what I became. You create a different image for these kids to feel safe, though, in making the choice to change. That's the key. They have to feel safe. Because right now, if you just go in there, like, say, for instance, just any one of y'all from, and no disrespect, but any one of y'all from this from this audience was to go in the hood and try to speak to, they gonna like, man, if you don't get up out of here. Why? Because it's the image that you already present. Like, you goody two-shoes, you too soft. It's not strong enough for them. But that's why I created a group that I made inside prison. I was empowering them, man, with the information, the new information that I was gaining as I was maturing, as I was growing. And I called the group Real Man of Standards. That already give them, yeah, we real men. Now they got something, man, to defend, to protect that image, right? And I was teaching them to become mentors. That's the empowerment. But the mentor was an acronym, which means managing every negative thought into right standards.
But do you still have those groups?
Yes, I got that's my life. But I couldn't continue it because that's what we started in there. You know, when I came from prison, I started that in the streets. That's what y'all seeing, you know, with the little youngsters. But however, the first purse paid their 6 months, the last didn't. So that's how I lost the group. You know what I mean? Because then I don't have no place now. You know what I mean? And I didn't have the funds to continue to keep it going. You know, so I lost it. So I'm trying to get back into that, but I came out here, man. I was married, and I came out on the streets, and like I say, man, my wife was the only woman I ever been with, you know, and I was a virgin until I was 35 years old. When I came out on the streets, I ain't gonna lie, temptation, man. It was, anyway. So I end up I cheated on my wife, and she found out. So I lost everything. That's why I'm homeless. It happened in 2021. And I've been trying to rebuild my life, but it's a struggle, you know what I mean? Because it ain't too many helping hands. But anyway, I do have a solution. I got my curriculum and everything. I made the curriculum. And it works because I was working with 50 of the hardest dudes on the yard. They was greedy for this knowledge. They didn't miss none class. I'm having it once a week. Once a week, they come in there every week. Because it's new information, but the information empowered them in a different way. It's easy to go and sock a dude, stab a dude. That's easy, man, when you're in that type of environment. But to be able to get a person to change the way they feel about you or the way they see about you with your mouth, communication, that's more powerful.
Yeah, I was going to say to the young lady, the arts are very important, especially to young people. We had another program that I co-founded with a lady named Layla Steinberg, who was Tupac Shakur's first manager. And it was called Mike Sessions. And we brought it into the prison, and it was a therapeutic, artistic program, because what we did was we had the guys to write poems, tell stories, songs, whatever artistic expression they wanted. And then we would talk about that artistic expression. What was the root of it? Why they wrote it or painted it or whatever it was that allowed them to express themselves. And then they could talk about their pain, their grief, their trauma without having to talk about it directly. Because one of the things that's a problem in prison or anywhere in life, to confront a person and say, tell me about your trauma, tell me you was raped, you know what I'm saying? Or tell me you was abused as a child, right? Most people, we don't want to tell people our stuff, right? Because we want to be normal. We don't want to make people feel like, oh, you abnormal, you got this, and that happened to you, right? So through the arts, you can really get people to open up. They can express themselves, whether it's directly or whether it's philosophically, but they can express themselves in ways they don't necessarily express themselves through just regular conversation. And that program, we did that for 10 years, and it changed a lot of young men's lives because and also they found their voice. That's the other thing Happy talking about. It's difficult often for those of us who have lived a certain kind of lifestyle, been raised a certain kind of way, had certain limited communication skills to be able to express ourselves in the general way which people expect us to express ourselves. So through the arts, I can say things and express things that I wouldn't normally express through a normal channel, right? So the arts are very, very important. If you can get more artistic expression and link it to conversations, don't just have people do art, but have the kids do art and then have conversations around that art, whatever that artistic expression is, it can be really helpful in changing people.
So do we have time for one more question, or?
Am Am I in charge?
I'd like to say just one line of Janne. Janne, yeah, I'd like to say one line about Janne as a director. He was my assistant, and he has a fantastic character that we understand what he means, even if he doesn't say anything. Just his way of listening expresses the most complicated things in life. That's special. That's a special thing about good directors, but there are not very many.
That's it.
I don't know if we're running out of time. What do you say?
I think so, yes.
Should there be one more question?
We can have one more, yes.
Is there anybody?
I just want to know from Jan maybe, or anyone, what was the initial reaction from the other prisoners to the play, and how did they express how they took in the performance of the play at the prison?
Please tell. You went through a lot of hardships.
Yeah, so that's a story that haven't been told. We went through a lot, with just rehearsing, because we had a lot of issues, man, with the convicts. They didn't like what we was doing. They thought the administration was using us and stuff like that, but we got more flack, man, from the COs, the correctional officers. The administration didn't want us to do it at all. They was trying to do everything to wreck it. We had problems, man, just continuing the rehearsal, But anyway, so when we got to the point where we was about to do the play, we demanded that we do it for the convicts first. We demanded, or it wasn't going on, because we wanted to see these are people that we living with. These are people, man, that we communicating with. So we wanted them to see what we was doing. When they seen that play, we got better response from them than the people that was coming from the streets, man, doing it, seeing it. They respected what we was doing. They understood it. Because like I say, that play is based on the life that we was living. A lot of silence, a lot of hopelessness, daunting futures. It touched everybody. They felt it, And so for the most part, man, I think it helped them to grow in some way.
Yeah, I know we got to go, but I just want to say something. I'm leaving Sweden tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, I think my plane is. And I've been here a week, and I just want to say, man, first off, thank you, Stefan, for pulling this together, right? Yeah. And inviting me to come along. I want to say thank you, Happy, for being my friend and listening when you were young, and me and Twin was trying to get you to do the right thing. And I want to thank you, Twin, right, for being a big brother to Happy and being a friend to me. And even when there was at odds, because you know what I'm talking about, we ain't got to go into all that. Yeah. When we were at odds with different people in our different groups, because he's from LA and I'm from the Bay, we worked that stuff out, bro. And that's probably the reason we sat there, because we could have been killing each other and acting fools, and we wouldn't be here. Camilla, I want to thank you for being a gracious host to us. She hosted us for dinner, and her family, Emil and her daughter up there, I want to thank them. And I want to thank you, Jan, for coming to San Quentin and doing this play, man, and being a friend to us, man. And I want to thank all the people from Sweden. I've had nothing but a wondrous time. I went to Club Sky Bar till 4 o'clock in the morning. I've been walking all over Sweden. I went to Old Town today, so I've had a wonderful time. I'm leaving, but I intend to come back as soon as I can. Thank you.
So, thank you everybody for coming here. It was a wonderful night. And please don't forget this GoFundMe.com.
Can I?
Twin and Happy.